I was looking at this document you sent over this morning, the Aviation Protocol for Cabin Crew Ditching and Sea Survival Procedures. And I have to be honest, my first instinct was to scan it for the word miracle. You
Right,
know?
because we all have that image of the Hudson River in our heads.
Yeah.
Everyone's standing on the wings, completely dry and safe.
Exactly. We think of ditching and we think of that one specific event.
It is the iconic image. But in the industry, we call that the best case anomaly. It's the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, and reading this, I mean, this is not about anomalies. This is an algorithm for chaos. It is dense, it's rigid, and it's incredibly specific.
Very specific.
We aren't talking about a generic brace for impact situation. We are doing a deep dive today into a choreographed ballet that happens inside an Airbus A320 family aircraft when it essentially has to become a boat.
Become a boat is actually a pretty accurate way to put it. And you're right, the manual, specifically for the A320 family, which is basically the workhorse of the skies, is designed to strip away panic and replace it with process.
Because when you hit the water, the variables just change instantly.
Instantly. You're not just fighting gravity anymore. You are fighting hydrodynamics, hypothermia, and group psychology.
So that is the mission for this deep dive. We are going to decode this SOP. I want to move our listeners past the safety card cartoons and understand the engineering and the psychology of what actually happens from the moment the pilot says we're going in to the moment you are cutting a raft loose in the ocean.
Let's do it. And I think the most surprising thing for people is that a ditching, which is the technical term for a controlled water landing, usually isn't a surprise to the crew.
That's the prepared emergency concept, right? This isn't the plane suddenly just falling out of the sky. This is, well, we have, what, 20 minutes of glide time?
Exactly. Usually it's a fuel issue or a dual engine failure at altitude. The flight deck knows they can't make an airfield, so while you as a passenger might still be watching a movie, the clock has already started.
Wow.
The pilot in command summons the purser, the lead flight attendant, to the cockpit.
And I'm guessing this isn't for a pep talk.
No, not at all. It is for the NATES briefing. NITS. It's the absolute cornerstone of emergency management. The pilot has to transfer their reality to the purser in 4 distinct packets of information.
Okay, let's break Nites down. I assume N is nature.
Nature of the emergency. We have lost both engines. Simple, direct, no adjectives, just facts.
And then I, intentions.
Right. I intend to ditch the aircraft. And this is crucial because a land evacuation and a ditching require totally different preparations.
I mean, if you prep for land but hit water, that's a disaster.
Exactly. You might have opened the wrong doors or failed to arm the rafts.
That makes sense. And T.
Time. This is the big one. Time remaining. Do we have 5 minutes? 20? That dictates everything.
Because 20 minutes lets you actually prepare the cabin.
If you have 20 minutes, you can teach the passengers how to save themselves. If you have 5, you are just shouting commands.
And S is special instructions.
Correct. Things like the rear of the plane might impact first, or we have a VIP on board. So the purser takes this, repeats it back verbatim to ensure no miscommunication, and then goes back to the cabin.
And this is where the atmosphere shifts.
Dramatically.
This is the part that fascinated me in the protocol. They don't just get on the PA and scream. They start conditioning the cabin.
It's crowd control before the crowd even knows they need controlling.
How does that start?
The first thing you'll notice is the lighting. They bring the cabin lights to full bright.
Oh, to wake everyone up.
Exactly. They want everyone awake, alert, and oriented. Then the announcement comes. And it is not the vague, we have a small problem speech. It is direct instructions.
And some of these instructions seem almost petty, given the circumstances. I mean, the document lists remove high-heeled shoes and remove sharp objects as a top priority. If I am about to crash, do I really care about my stilettos?
You absolutely should, because that stiletto is a weapon against your survival gear.
Because of the slides.
Right. Think about the slide rafts. They're essentially inflated rubber tubes. If you jump onto a slide with a sharp heel, you don't just pop the slide.
You destroy the lifeboat for 50 other people.
Precisely. Same with the remove tight clothing rule. Ties loosened, collars open.
Is that for comfort? Because I would assume you want to be bundled up if you're hitting cold water.
You do want warmth, but you need circulation first.
Oh, interesting.
It's about the physiological shock response. If you end up in cold water, your body creates a vasoconstriction response. Your blood vessels tighten up to save heat for the core.
So if your clothes are already tight.
You accelerate hypothermia or pass out faster because the blood just can't move.
That is a level of physiological planning I didn't expect. Now, there is one rule here that I feel like is the do not press button of aviation.
The life vest.
The life vest.
Okay.
Do not inflate inside the aircraft. They say it on every single flight, but reading the accident reports cited in our sources, people still do it.
It's instinctive. You are scared, you want to feel safe, and safe feels like being buoyant. But in a ditching, buoyancy inside the fuselage is a death sentence.
Because the water rises.
Right. The fuselage isn't a submarine. It will take on water.
Yeah.
If you inflate your vest, you shoot to the ceiling like a cork.
You're pinned.
You are now pinned against the overhead bins. You cannot dive down to swim out the exit door, which is probably now underwater.
That is a terrifying image, pinned to the ceiling while everyone else swims out underneath you.
It happened on Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961. Many people survived the initial crash but drowned inside because they inflated too early. The crew will be walking down the aisle aggressively checking this.
Just shouting, "Do not pull the red tag,"
Yes.
repeatedly.
Now, while this is happening, the crew is also doing something that sounds like they are drafting a sports team. They're selecting ABPs.
Able-bodied passengers. This is the recruiting the Army phase.
What are they looking for?
The crew looks for people who are physically fit, alert, or ideally are deadheading crew members, police, or military. And they just walk up to them and say, "You're hired."
Essentially, yes. They move them to the exit rows, but they don't just sit them there. They brief them.
What does that briefing look like?
They take that passenger's hands and actually place them on the door handle. They look them in the eye and say, "If I am knocked unconscious, lift this handle, push the door out, pull this manual inflation tab."
That is a heavy realization. You buy a ticket to Miami, and suddenly you are the backup safety officer.
It's redundancy. The crew assumes they might not survive the impact or they might be incapacitated. They are creating a backup system using you.
So the cabin is prepped, the Army is briefed, the galleys are powered down so the coffee makers don't start electrical fires.
Carts are latched so they don't become missiles.
Right, lavatory's locked, and then it's just the waiting game.
Until the brace signal. The pilot shouts "brace for impact" over the PA. And this is where the crew starts their chant.
Heads down, grab ankles, remain seated.
And they don't say it once. They scream it. Repetitively.
Yeah.
Like a metronome.
Why the repetition? Is it just to make sure everyone hears it over the engine noise?
That's part of it. But the main reason is to combat negative panic.
Negative panic, I've never heard of that. Is that like screaming and flailing?
It's the exact opposite. It's a psychological phenomenon where, in the face of overwhelming danger, the brain just shuts down.
People freeze.
They go catatonic. They sit in their seats as the plane burns or sinks because their brain cannot process the reality of the situation.
So the shouting breaks that.
The crew's shouting is designed to snap your brain back into processing mode. It breaks the trance. Heads down. Stay down.
And then impact.
And impact on water is tricky. It is not one smooth bump.
Right, the water doesn't just part for you.
It usually involves a skip, a slam, and then a violent deceleration. Water at 140 miles per hour acts like concrete.
So the plane comes to a stop. Hopefully it's floating. Now, I assume the doors fly open immediately. Everyone just gets out.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
This is the most critical decision point in the entire process, the assess outside conditions phase.
What exactly are they looking for?
Water level and fire, but mostly water level. Imagine the plane is tilting back like the Miracle on the Hudson. The rear doors were essentially underwater.
Right.
If a flight attendant back there opens the door, they don't create an exit, they create a hole in the boat.
And the plane sinks in seconds.
So you have to look out that tiny window, see where the water line is, and potentially make the decision to block the exit.
That takes incredible discipline. You have 100 screaming people behind you pushing forward, and you have to stand there, arms out, screaming, blocked exit, go forward, because you see dark water halfway up the window.
It is an immense amount of pressure on the crew.
Now, let's get into the hardware. We are focusing on the Airbus A320 family. And the notes mention something really interesting about the A321 specifically. Not all doors are created equal.
No, and this is a detail that even frequent flyers miss. On the A321, you have primary doors at the front and back. Let's call them D1 and D4.
Okay.
These are huge doors. They have what's called slide rafts.
Define slide raft for me.
It's a hybrid. It deploys like a slide, but it has high sides, a canopy setup, and survival gear. It is a certified boat. It can hold 40, 50, sometimes 60 people.
And it inflates automatically.
When you open the door in armed mode, this thing shoots out and inflates in seconds using aspirators. It actually sucks in outside air to fill the volume quickly.
But what about the doors in the middle of the plane?
The mid-cabin exits, D2 and D3. Depending on the specific configuration, these might only be escape slots.
Which means they aren't boats.
Exactly. They are just flotation devices. They're designed to get you from the plane to the ground on land. In water, they float, and you can hold on to them till you sit on them, not in them. They do not keep you dry.
So if I'm an ABP or just a passenger, knowing which door I'm running toward actually matters.
It matters immensely. And here is the engineering nuance from the SOP. For those mid-cabin doors with only escape slides, the protocol often says to open them in disarmed mode initially.
Wait, disarmed. That means the slide doesn't inflate when you open the door.
Correct. If you fire a landslide into the water, it has no sides. It acts like a giant sail underwater.
Oh, the current just catches it.
Yes. It can get twisted, it creates massive drag, and it might drift under the fuselage. Sometimes the procedure is to open the door, check the situation, and then manually inflate it using the manual inflation handle if needed, or disconnect it so it can be used as a simple float.
That is a complex decision tree to navigate in seconds.
Very complex.
Let's say we are at a primary door. The slide raft deploys. It inflates. It's a big gray boat attached to the side of the plane. What is the command then?
Come this way. Leave everything. Jump and slide, and once you get to the door threshold, inflate fast.
So that is the moment we pull the tags.
And now you pull the tags. You want that buoyancy the second you hit the slide or the water.
And what about the crew? Do they just grab their bags and jump out?
No, they are looting the plane
Lean?
for survival gear. They are stripping the cockpit and the galleys of safety-critical equipment.
What's on the shopping list?
The megaphone, the flashlight, the first aid kit, the emergency medical kit, and most importantly, the ELT, the emergency locator transmitter.
They have to carry all that out with them.
They hand it to passengers who are already in the raft. Hold this. Take this. Because once they leave the aircraft, they can never go back. If they forget the medical kit, they are treating injuries with salt water.
Okay, so everyone is out. The crew checks the cabin one last time, doing the sweep, and then they jump into the raft. Now, this creates a scenario that I find genuinely horrifying. You are in a rubber boat. The boat is tied to the plane by a mooring line. The plane is sinking.
It's the Titanic problem. If the plane goes down, it drags the raft with it.
So you have to cut the cord.
You do. There is a specific pouch on the raft, usually labeled clearly, containing a raft knife.
Like a normal knife. That seems dangerous in a rubber boat.
No, like a hook knife. It has a curved blade, designed so you can't accidentally stab the raft itself.
So the crew member has to find that knife, lift the flap, pull the handle, and cut the line.
Yes. And that mooring line is under incredible tension if the plane is actively sinking. You slice it, and you're free.
That moment, that snap of the rope, that is the moment you are truly alone. The link to civilization, the machine, is gone. You're just bobbing in the ocean.
And that is the most dangerous moment for morale.
Oh, really?
The adrenaline crash hits. You are wet, you are cold, you are watching your plane sink.
Yeah.
This is where the SOP shifts entirely from evacuation to survival management.
And the manual is very clear on hierarchy here. It says the most senior crew member takes command.
Survival is not a democracy. You cannot have a committee meeting about how to ration water. You need a commander. The senior crew member takes charge immediately. You bail water. You help the injured. You look for ships.
And one of the first things they deploy is the sea anchor. Now, I picture a heavy metal hook, but that's not right, is it?
No, a middle anchor would just pull you down. A sea anchor is a parachute-like canvas bag on a long line. You throw it overboard and it fills with water.
But wait, if we want to get rescued, don't we want to drift toward land? Why anchor ourselves?
Two things. First, search and rescue knows where the plane crashed. If you drift 20 miles away in a strong current, they might completely miss you.
That makes sense.
But secondly, and more importantly, it creates drag to keep the raft pointed into the wind. It provides stability.
Because without it...
Without a sea anchor, a round rubber raft spins constantly with the waves. And that leads to the biggest enemy of survival, seasickness.
I noticed the protocol put a huge emphasis on this. It literally says administer seasickness tablets immediately. Not fix broken legs, but give out pills.
It seems counterintuitive at first. But think about the physiology. If you have 50 people in a raft and they all start vomiting, two things happen. One, the smell triggers everyone else, which destroys morale. But two, vomiting causes rapid dehydration.
And you can't exactly refill your water bottle out there.
Exactly. You die of dehydration in 3 days. But with severe vomiting, you can be completely incapacitated in 24 hours. The pills aren't for comfort, they are for preserving the water inside your body. It is a critical medical intervention.
That is a fascinating insight. It's really medical resource management. What about the raft itself? It's an inflatable. Does it just stay fully inflated?
Not on its own. The air inside the tubes is hot from the CO2 inflation process. When it hits the cold ocean water, the gas contracts. Basic physics.
So the raft gets soft.
Starts to fold in on itself
So you have to pump it up.
manually. There are hand pumps in the survival kit. It is hard physical labor, but frankly, it keeps people busy, which is good for their minds. They also have to erect the canopy.
The roof.
Right. It's usually bright orange for visibility. It protects you from the sun, which again causes dehydration, and the wind and spray, which causes hypothermia. It even has gutters to catch rainwater. These rafts are engineering marvels. They are self-contained ecosystems.
If you know how to use them.
If you know how to use them. And remember, the crew has practiced this. They do wet drills in pools. They know how to flip a capsized raft. They know how to set up the canopy.
We're coming to the end of the timeline here. We are floating. We are stabilized under our canopy. We've taken our Dramamine. How do we actually get found?
We mentioned the ELT earlier. That is blasting a signal to satellites. But the crew also have low-tech options. Flares, mirrors, and sea dye markers.
I've seen those in movies. It turns the water green.
Bright fluorescent green-yellow. It creates a massive stain on the ocean surface that is visible for miles from a search plane. It makes a tiny raft look like a giant target.
You know, walking through all this, it really changes my perspective on flight attendants. I think we are all guilty of seeing them as customer service agents who happen to know CPR.
It is a common misconception. We judge them on how fast they bring the soda. But looking at this document, the debriefing, the crowd control, the A320 door mechanics, the raft management, their actual job description is survival specialist.
They are safety professionals who serve drinks in their downtime.
Exactly. When that chime hits, they are the only thing standing between you and the elements.
I want to leave our listeners with a thought you brought up earlier, the ABP, the able-bodied passenger.
Yeah, it's something to really chew on.
We assume the crew will save us, but the protocol explicitly plans for the crew to be incapacitated. They build a backup system using us.
So the next time you settle into seat 14A, take a second. Look at the door. Do you see the red manual inflation handle? Do you know if your exit has a slide raft or just an escape slide?
Because if the worst happens and the crew can't function, the SOP isn't theirs anymore. It's yours.
Stay curious.
And stay safe. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.